Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, Shloka 39. Sorry, text number 40. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Pardha Naiveha Namutra Pardha Naiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschet Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschet Durgatim Tadagacchati Durgatim Tatagacchati. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Pardhanaiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschet Durgatim Tata Gacchati. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Pardhanaiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschet Durgatim Tata Gacchati. Somebody. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Pardhanaiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschet Durgatim Tata Gacchati. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Pardhanaiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschet Durgatim Tata Gacchati. Word to word meaning. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Pardha, O son of Prudha, Na eva, never is it so. Iha, in this material world, Na, never. Amutra, in the next life. Vinasaha, destruction. Tasya, his. Vidyate, exists. Na, never. He, certainly. Kalyanakrit, one who is engaged in auspicious activities. Kaschet, anyone. Durgatim, to degradation. Tata, my friend. Gacchati, goes. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Prudha, A transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Please repeat the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Prida, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17, Sri Narada Muni instructs Vyasadeva, Tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam harer bhajanna pakvota pate tato yadi yatrakva va bhadram abodhamasya kim kovarda apto bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully engage in his occupational duties and yet not again gain anything. For material prospects, there are many activities, both scriptural and customary. A transcendental is supposed to give up all material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness. One may argue that by Krishna consciousness, one may attain the highest perfection it is completed. But if one does not attain such a perfectional stage, then he loses both materially and spiritually. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one has to suffer the reaction for not executing prescribed duties. Therefore, one who fails to discharge transcendental activities properly becomes subjected to these reactions. The Bhagavatam assures the unsuccessful transcendentalist that there no need be no worries. Even though he may be subjected to the reaction for not perfectly executing prescribed duties, he is still not a loser, because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten, and one so engaged will continue to be so even if he is low-born in the next life. On the other hand, one who simply follows strictly the prescribed duties did not necessarily attain auspicious results if he is lacking in Krishna consciousness. The purport may be understood as follows. Humanity may be divided into two sections, namely the regulated and the non-regulated. Those who are engaged simply in bestial sense gratifications without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation belong to the non-regulated section. And those who follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified amongst the regulated section. The non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, are full of animal propensities. Their activities are never auspicious, because while enjoying the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending and mating, they perpetually remain in material existence, which is always miserable. On the other hand, those who are regulated by scriptural injunctions and who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness certainly progress in life. Those who are following the path of auspiciousness can be divided into three sections. The followers of the scriptural rules and regulations who are enjoying material prosperity, those who are trying to find ultimate liberation from material existence, those who are devotees in Krishna consciousness. Those who are following the rules and regulations of the scriptures of material happiness may be further divided into two classes. Those who are fruit workers and those who desire no fruit for sense gratification. Those who are after fruit results but sense gratification may be elevated to the higher standard of life, even to the highest planets. But still, because they are not free from material existence, they are not following truly auspicious path. The only auspicious activities are those which lead to liberation. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and anyone who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. And because the Eightfold Yoga system is directed toward the ultimate realization of Krishna consciousness, such practice is also auspicious. And no one who is trying his best in this matter need fear degradation. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachat Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravaktarinda He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We are in the 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga. I would just brief about the earlier chapters, just I would give a small summary about that. In the first chapter, observing the armies on the battlefield, we have seen that the both Pandavas and Kauravas assembled in the battlefield called Kurukshetra. Just about the war is about to start, it was about to start, Arjuna expressed his doubt by seeing the opposite party like Bhishma, Dronacharya and his cousin brothers. He expressed a doubt that how can I fight with my relatives? If I kill them in the battlefield, I'll get sin. I'll go to hellish planets and I'll incur a lot of sins. And family destruction happens, then adulteration happen in the family. Like this, he expressed few doubts. In the second chapter, up to the first shloka to 2.1 to 2.10, against in the first chapter he gave various reasons. In the second chapter, Arjuna specifically informed that I cannot fight with Bhishma and Dronacharya because he is my grandfather and my teacher. From 11th shloka to 30th shloka, Krishna explained about Sankhya philosophy because Arjuna is on the bodily conception of life. He was thinking that if I kill them, they will die. So he's on the bodily platform. So to overcome that, to get rid of this bodily concept, Krishna spoke about Sankhya Yoga from 11th shloka to 30th shloka. And from 31st shloka to 39th shloka, he spoke about Sakama Karma Yoga and Nishkama Karma Yoga. And from then 40th to 53rd, he spoke about Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. And then 54 to 72, he spoke about a person who has attained to Krishna consciousness. What are his symptoms? How he talk, how he sits, how he behaves, what is behavior, he spoke. And again, in the third chapter, Arjuna put a question. So you were asking me to fight, at the same time you were telling Buddhi Yoga is better than work. What should I do? Then Krishna talk about Karma Yoga in the third chapter. What is Karma Yoga? From morning to evening, we do so many activities. So each activity is called a karma. Sometimes we do punya karma, sometimes we do bad karma, papa karma. So in the Karma Yoga, the main idea is we will perform activities in line with the scriptures so that we will not be inculcated in sinful activities. And gradually we will move towards the path of spiritual progress. In Karma Yoga, in the third chapter, Krishna spoke about Karma Yoga spoke. And then the fourth chapter is called Transcendental Knowledge. And then in Transcendental Knowledge, in the fourth chapter, Krishna spoke at Varnashrama Dharma, right? Varnashrama, 4 ashramas and 4 varnas. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Gruhastha, Vanprastha, Sannyasi. And in the 5th chapter, Krishna spoke about Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So what is the difference between Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness? In Karma Yoga, our main intention is to fulfill our desires, to do sense gratification. At the same time, we will try to progress on the spiritual path gradually. In the 5th chapter, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, that's called Nishkama Karma Yoga. So whatever, if you see, you're all, you have left your careers and family members, friends, material comforts, material enjoyment, you all join here and trying to do seva. So we are on the path of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Because here we are all clear that our goal is to attain Krishna, to go back to Godhead, Goloka Vrindavan. Our goal is clear. So what we are doing sadhana bhakti now. We are practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then in the 6th chapter, Krishna is talking about Dhyana Yoga. What is yoga? Yoga means to link up oneself with the Supreme Lord. That is called real yoga. If you say some people, they do some gymnastics. They try to, if you see the yogis, like 8 mystic powers are there. Anima, Lagima, Mahima, Prapti, Ishitva, then Prakayama and Vashitva. So total 8 are there. These kind of some mystics. If somebody comes, let us say I can walk on the water, if he says, generally common people, if somebody sees somebody is walking on the water or somebody is flying in the air, we get bewildered. We think, oh my God, he's having so many mystical powers. But as per our Bhagavad Gita, these are all very insignificant mystical powers because they are all temporary. The yogis who sits in Himalayas, meditates for hundreds of years, they gain these kind of powers. After getting the powers, once they come to the public and start displaying these powers, gradually what happens, all the powers will get diminished. It will become zero. So these are all temporary. So actual real yoga means to establish our connectionship with the Supreme Lord, that is Lord Sri Krishna. To perform activities in relation to the Supreme Lord is actual yoga. To link up with the Supreme. So in the Dhyana Yoga, if you see Dhyana Yoga is actually not recommended for the Kali Yuga. Because Kali Yuga, our duration of life is very short. This is recommended for the first Yuga, that is, which is Sati Yuga. In Sati Yuga, people used to live for 100,000 years, their duration of life. So during that age, this is more practical, Dhyana Yoga. In Kali Yuga, this is not at all practical. In Dhyana Yoga, if you see, there are 8 angas are there. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, then Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. 8 steps are there. And but ultimately, if you say all the yoga processes are teaching, the basic common element is one should control mind and senses. Mind and, if you say Karma Yoga, if you say Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, whatever you take, the main important thing is one should control his mind and senses. That's the most important activity. This 6th chapter is very important because in this chapter, Krishna spoke about how to control the mind. And Krishna says in the 6th chapter, he says, if we do not control our mind, it will act as our enemy. Generally, our feeling is, we have a feeling, he is my enemy or he is my enemy, she is my enemy, that kind of feeling we have. As per the Bhagavad Gita, the real enemy is our own mind. How our mind is enemy? Mind is always accompanied by 6 enemy. Mind is accompanied by 6 anarthas. Kama, lust, then greed, anger, fear, enviousness, and madness or illusion. 6 enemies. So somebody is having all the opulences, good education, nice bank balance, good family, but his mind is not controlled. Sometimes, some people are very, they anger, lot of anger. They don't know how to control the anger. If you see in Western countries, there are some institutions, they go and pay some money and they'll go inside that rooms, rage rooms, it's called rage rooms. They pay some money, they'll go inside that room and they'll break all the TVs, televisions, fridge, some glass, very costly sofas and all, and they pay money and come back because they don't know how to lent out their anger, rage. So our Bhagavad Gita in the third chapter, Krishna spoke beautifully. The reason for the anger is, anger comes from lust. Lust comes from attachment. Example, one boy and male and female, both are in love. So both develop attachment for each other. Later their parents came to know, and they try to restrict them, and they try to get married with some other people. Then what happens? Because both developed attachment, from attachment the desire came, that is they should get married. That is lust. And what happened? The parents are not agreeing to get married. Then what happens? It becomes frustration, anger. Some people give up their lives also. So this is actually what I'm trying to say is this anger is our enemy. Lust is our enemy. Enviousness is our enemy. Fear is enemy. So to control these enemies, what we have to do? We have to do yoga practices. Yama and niyamas. Do's and don'ts. So in our Bhakti Yoga, the do's are, the most important activity is chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We should fix our mind on the sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If we can fix our mind on the sound vibration, our mind becomes steady. All the negative thoughts will go away. Gradually, our mind will come under our control. When the mind is under our control, then we can control our senses also. So how to control our senses? Through mind. So how to control the mind? By practicing meditation, by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And in this chapter, Krishna spoke about how to control the mind, and what happens after controlling the mind. One can attain Paramatma. One can see Paramatma face to face. We can see Krishna face to face, provided that we conquered our mind. We come to the platform of Brahmabhuta stage. Na sochati, na kankshati. So when we attain that stage, we can see Krishna face to face. Then Arjuna put an interesting question in this chapter. Arjuna is saying, some spiritualists, they leave all material opulence, they take up to the devotional service. After practicing devotional service, because of the past karma, past habits, because of the Maya's influence or their past karma, they may leave the practices of yoga. Then what will happen to that person who had taken up to yoga by giving up all material opulences, everything? Is neither there nor here. Let us say if you see in our temple, most of them are highly educated. They have left so many, great jobs, great family, a lot of sacrifice they have done, and they have taken up to devotional service. Let us say they continue there on the path of devotion. They'll try to perform devotional service. After 10 years or 20 years, let us say maybe because of their past karma, maybe because of bad fortune, devotee may he may have to face Maya, and he may get influenced by Maya. Then he may leave the devotional service. Then what will happen to him? He had left his career, his parents, bank balance, everything. If he goes to the material world, what is his position then? So he is neither here, neither he is able to sustain here nor there. Then what will happen to him? That is very precarious condition. It appears like a precarious condition. So that's why Arjuna is putting this question to Krishna. And what Krishna says, the unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So what will happen to that person? In the next life, that unsuccessful yogi, he will go to heavenly planets. Heavenly planets, there he will enjoy for thousands of years. The standard of happiness in heavenly planets is much, much better than what we see here on this earth planet. So most of the youth are fascinated by US. Most of the youth, they want to go to US. Why? There the material comforts are, the material standards are very high. Material enjoyment is very high. Similarly, if you compare the Earth planet with the Svargalokas, the heavenly planets, there the enjoyment is much more, 1,000 times better than what we are seeing here. The people live there for thousands of years. Their duration of life is very high. They don't get disease like us. Their bodies are very well built and they're very beautiful actually. 1,000 times what we see here, beautiful. So they're 1,000 times more beautiful than what we are seeing here. They're very handsome, nice bodily complexion, and there they get somarasa. If they drink that rasa, they'll fly in the air. And some people, the so-called drugs or intoxications they take here, that's very low kind of, low standard of happiness. But in the Svargaloka, they get somarasa. And beautiful women, beautiful handsome people like that. So these unsuccessful yogis, they go to the heavenly planets. There they enjoy for thousands of years. And after completing their life on the heavenly planets, again they come back to the earth. They come back to earth. And they take birth either in a devotee family or again in a rich family. In the both cases, the chances are high that again you can continue the devotional service. Let us say today you read one Bhagavad Gita shloka, you memorize one Bhagavad Gita shloka. This shloka will remain in your transcendental memory even in your next janma. Like that you take millions of janmas. Each janma this knowledge is carried. The example is Narada Muni, sage Narada. Sage Narada, in his previous life, he was a son of a maid servant. And because of his good fortune, he got an opportunity to serve Bhaktivedantas during the Chaturmasya time. 4 months, along with his mother, they served the Bhaktivedantas, the great sages. They blessed him. And later, by the will of Providence, Narada Muni lost his mother. His mother died. Then he left alone. Narada Muni left alone. And then he remembered the instructions given by the sages. So he practiced those instructions. Then he could attain Krishna. He could see Krishna. He attained transcendental body. Now Narada Muni can travel anywhere within the planetary systems, not only the material worlds, even he can travel to a spiritual world. Pantastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo vayo ratapi manaso munipungavanam sopastiyat prabada simni avincha tatve govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. What is the meaning of this? Pantastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo. If one has to travel by space or some rocket, somebody uses the material arrangements to travel to the space. If somebody wants to reach the spiritual planet, it will take Pantastu koti satavatsara, means it will take crores and crores of years to reach the spiritual sky because it's so too far it is. Even if you travel at the speed of mind, it takes crores and crores of years. Still you cannot reach. That far the spiritual world is. But by the beauty of devotional service, if we can attain the perfection in devotional service, just within a second we can go to the spiritual world. So that kind of body the Narada Muni had attained, spiritual body. That's the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. So if you see the case of the Narada Muni, he remembered what he was in the previous life. So whatever the spiritual activities we are doing, everything will be recorded in our transcendental memory, spiritual memory. It will never be lost. It's eternal bank balance. If you chant, you come to the temple, you have darshan, you get spiritual credit. You chant one Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this one credit you got, spiritual credit. This is spiritual eternal bank balance. This will never go in vain. So this will keep on accumulating. When it becomes full, then you will get liberation, you will get mukti. So till then we have to continue chanting these mantras and practice the devotional principles. So here, Srila Prabhupada says, somebody has practiced the devotional service for many years, he will take a birth, an unsuccessful yogi who has practiced devotional service for many years, and due to maybe bad karma or some unfortunate circumstances, if he leaves the devotional service, in his next life, he will take a birth in a devotee family. And a devotee who has practiced a devotional service for few years, he will go to the heavenly planets. So generally, if you see on the material, if you say material perspective, somebody wants to go to heavenly planets, he thinks that is a great, that is highest. Actually, from the spiritual perspective, this material enjoyment is like a poison. Because if somebody gets addicted to the material enjoyment, then he will lose the spiritual enjoyment, which is million times more happier than so-called material enjoyment. So the unsuccessful yogi who had practiced devotional service for a few years, he will take birth in an aristocratic family, or he will go to the heavenly planets. Who had practiced devotional service for many years, he will take birth in a devotee family, next life, and he will complete that. From Bhagavatam, an interesting like Jadabharata, like you all know that Bharat Maharaj, he was the king, and so he decided that he was having a beautiful wife, beautiful children, nice kingdom, and he felt that, okay, you know, I wanted to take up the renounced order of life. I don't want this, you know, I don't want to rule this kingdom and all. So he had taken the retirement, and he goes to the forest. He started sitting in the forest. He made an hermitage, and in his hermitage, he was doing meditation every day. Very seriously, he's practicing devotional service. One day, one deer, Hiran, a deer came, which is a pregnant deer. It was a lion was chasing the deer, and the deer was trying to protect his life. Finally, he could not, and the lion came and attacked him. By that time, he just delivered a baby deer, and the deer got killed by the lion. Bharat Maharaj, he saw that baby deer and he took it. Okay, nobody is there to take care of this. I have to take care of this. He brought that deer to his hermitage, and he started taking care of that. He's nicely feeding and is talking to that, and like a friend is, you know, and slowly he started developing attachment for that baby deer. Then what happened? Suddenly death came, and what happened after death? He became a deer. Because he's contemplating on deer, according to the Bhagavad Gita, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejate anta kalevaram. At the time of death, whatever we remember, that will become what in the next life. So Bharat Maharaj was contemplating about the deer. He became deer in his next life. And because of his fortune, good fortune, he had practiced a devotional service. He was on, in fact, he was on Bhava Stage. He could remember, even though he is a deer, he could remember what he was in the previous life. He could remember, and he could know that. He knew that, okay, I made a mistake. I developed attachment for this deer. That's why I became deer. So, and at the same time, he remembered whatever the devotional service he practiced. And in his life, he is very, very protective. He always be with the sages. He is in the form of a deer, but he used to spend his time with the sages, near the sages ashram, so that he will get better association, better friendship. So if you want to judge a person, it is said, you can judge a person by two things. One, the kind of food he eats, and the second one is the friends, the kind of friends who is having. By seeing that, we can judge his character. So if we see the Bharat Maharaj, this deer, he was moving with the sages because you know, he wanted to protect his devotional service. And in the next life, he took a Brahmana, he took a birth in a Brahmana's family. And even though he was very learned, and he could remember all the spiritual knowledge, he was having all the spiritual knowledge. To protect himself from the Maya, he acted as if like a mad person, dumb person. And their parents thrown away him from the home, and he became, you know, the Jada Bharata, just walking here and there. And he was staying in the forest. There, King Rahugana, he was coming in the palanquin. 4 people are carrying the palanquin, and one person got some disease, So then they are searching for a person to uh, him. Then they came across Rahugana. So those soldiers came and asked him, "See, King Rahugana is coming. So you please come and help us." So Jadabharata said, "Okay." He was carrying the palanquin. While carrying the palanquin, he will be walking, right? They will be walking and holding like this. And when he's going, moving forward, if any ants comes, suddenly he stops because he don't want to stomp and devotees, right? So they don't want to kill even the small ants also. So he's very cautious that if I walk, the ants will get die. So suddenly he stops, and again he started moving. Like that, the king is getting disturbed. Who is sitting? The king who is sitting on the palanquin. So king suddenly stopped and he started chastising this Jadabharata. What do you think of yourself? I'll punish you like that. Then he says, what you can tell me? You can kill my body, but you cannot kill my soul, he says. Then king understood he is not an ordinary person. Then he took instruction from him. So if you see in this that Jadabharata's pastime, Jadabharata, he remembered whatever he learned in his previous life. He was in Bhava stage. When he had fallen down, when he became just before became a deer, he had reached up to the stage of Bhava. If you see in our bhakti, there are stages, right? Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anardha Nivritti, Nishta, Asakti, Ruchi, Bhava, Prema. So just before Prema is Bhava stage. So Bharat Maharaj had attained that stage, Bhava stage. Because it's a devotional service, is a transcendental activity, he could remember everything. Everything he could remember, and in fact, he continued the same state. Even when he had taken even when he became a deer, he was carrying the same consciousness. Then later he became a Jadabharata, then also he remembered everything. And finally he attained the Krishna Prema. That is the ultimate goal he had attained. So from this pastime, we can see how the devotional service is very, very powerful. Even you take Ajamila. Ajamila was a Brahmana. He got married, he was having a nice, beautiful family. Later he came in touch with a prostitute. Then he left his family, his wife, children. He got married to the prostitute. To maintain prostitute, he used to do all sinful activities. Throughout his life, he had committed all kinds of sins. And finally, he's on the deathbed. He became old, he is lying on the deathbed. Yamadutas came to take him to Yama's abode because he had committed so many sinful activities. Meat eating, killing, so many things he had done. Then, because he had performed a devotional service when he was young, the Paramatma who is seated in his heart made him a remembrance to call his son Narayana. Then he called Narayana his son. Because he chanted Narayana, immediately the Vishnudutas came and stopped Yamadutas. They protected him. And later the Vishnudutas, they protected him and they warned Ajamila, you have committed so many sinful activities. Give up all your sinful activities, this tendency, and seriously, you continue your devotional service. Then Ajamila goes to, I think it's Haridwar. He goes to Haridwar. Again, he continues his devotional service. Then he goes back to Vaikuntha Lokas. So from these pastimes, it is very clear that Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayeto mahate payat. Little devotional service if you do, it will never go in vain. That's the power of devotional service. So we will stop here. Anybody have any questions, you can kindly ask me. Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for wonderful class. First, you nicely explained, summarized all 6 chapters, and afterwards you explained that in 6th chapter, the purpose of all yoga is mind, to control the mind and senses. So our real enemy is mind. And after that, you come to the sloka, today's sloka that after coming to the path also, one is deviated. One is deviated from the path. So we are all new bhaktas, gradually uplifting our consciousness. So you told that you are given examples of 3 examples, Narada Muni and Jadabharat and Ajamil, to explain the importance of devotional service, and you given the chanting importance. But we are all doing, but sometimes it happens that we fall into Maya, like it happens in a Bharat Maharaj case and Ajamil case also. So can you please explain to us, suggest us what should be our mood and focus always should be there, so that we should not fall into Maya.
So very good question, very important question, especially for the younger devotees. So if you see our Srila Prabhupada has given wonderful program for us. That's it's called a sandwich program. If you see, like morning we have full sadhana program, rigorous sadhana we do. Morning 3:30 to 9:30 till Prasadam, it's a complete sadhana for us. So it's a very intense sadhana Srila Prabhupada has given. And again, the morning 10 to till evening, we engage in various kind of services. Again, we come evening, Sandhya Arati and Gita classes, or we read Bhagavatam, like that. So the sadhana is very, very important, especially the new bhaktas. The most, initially we have to give a lot of importance, lot of attention on the sadhana process. So strictly we have to follow. So, like everything, each anga, taking charnamrut, smelling the flowers, coming to the Mangalarti on time, before time, Lord, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is going to give the darshan. So we should be for Mangalarti before Lord, the curtains, before the conch blow. Because the Supreme Lord is there, he is going to give darshan. So that mood we should maintain. The moment we get up, the Lord is going to give darshan, so we should get ready. Before Lord gives darshan, we should be ready to have his darshan. So like that mood we have to maintain. And darshan, Mangalarti time, then Tulsi Arti, then Japa time. Japa is the most important activity. And sometimes mind get disturbed. You go to, then Prabhupada says you chant loudly. If possible you are in some corner, nobody gets disturbed, you can chant loudly. Because, to come out of the disturbance. So like that, you have to do intensely. Especially Japa you have to do nicely. And your goal is, each beat you try to, see your mind is fixed on the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So your mind, every beat you see, your mind is fixed. So like that if you do, and Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Seva, Bhagavatam classes, then we have Guru Puja, then Kirtans, dance nicely. And especially Brahmacharis, they have to dance nicely. All the lust will go away. Just nicely, Kirtans, nicely we have to with full energy we have to participate. If you dance, lust thoughts will never come actually. So like this, if you engage, definitely Maya cannot touch. And sometimes you see Maya, you are getting influenced by Maya means you try to analyze. Either you have chanted not properly, maybe you were not attended sadhana properly. Maybe Aarti time you are not attentive on the deities, or Kirtan times you are not focusing on the Kirtans, or reading time you are not properly reading, or like that you can analyze. Or you have offended or any Vaishnava. So like that you keep analyze that. And also you keep on discussing. Whenever you feel that you are in Maya, you go to your senior devotees and you have to, take solution from that. Yeah. Is it helpful? Yeah. Is it clear? Yeah. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah. 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 So any question you can ask me personally. Thank you. Kadrash Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Vande